So another Patreon Q&A. Thank you, Patreon, so much for your support and also for the questions. I want to start again with the Discord challenge, the Discord channel challenge. If you're a Patreon, come join us on Discord. We have also monthly challenges with giveaways. If you are not a Patreon, consider joining us on Patreon. Consider joining our Patreon community. It's quite fun. Lots of different perks you can get, like additional videos, live streams for Patreons only, document full of patching techniques and ideas, monthly VCV presets, all sorts of different things, and also access to the Discord channel with the challenge and giveaways and all sorts of different cool things. So anyway, let's start with the giveaway. We had this time, I think it's this one, right? Yeah. We had 9 submissions, which is quite cool. So what I have here, as in previous times, I have a burst generator that will trigger a sample and hold. This will randomly, because it's sample and hold or more or less random, will choose between 9 different notes, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I have each note has a number, right? It corresponds to the number of the submissions, right? So basically it will randomly pick someone. Again, the challenges are not a competition. I will choose one submission at random, or actually the sample and hold will choose one submission at random. So let's do this. There will be 16 pulses, and then we will get this month winner. So let's do this. Trigger. C. From all of the notes. All right, C. Number 1, Jan. Jan, you are the winner this month. I will contact you on Discord. Yeah, the next challenge is already on the Discord channel with all of the details. So again, if you're a Patreon, come join us on Discord. If you are not a Patreon, consider joining our Patreon community. It's quite fun. So Jan, you are the winner. Okay, cool, very cool. So let's start with the first question. Happy New Year, Omri Steve. Hi, this was from last month that I didn't answer. So hi Steve again. Wondering your general opinion on getting a hardware complex oscillator, mainly in the context if you have a small medium-sized rack and want to make the best use of space. Are they worth the HP? I'm looking at getting a DPO or other complex oscillator, but wonder if getting a Neoni and a Psych or something like this would give me more sound design possibilities for the same amount of space. How would you decide, or what would influence your decision? So we spoke about this on Discord also. There were many opinions. But basically, I have here also something ready. Basically, there is one reason why I'm not so drawn to getting a complex oscillator. And this reason is the pre-patched connections, right? Because it's a complex oscillator and it has many internal connections that are already made for you, that you don't have to patch things, which of course makes things easier, especially in hardware. You don't need a lot of cables. I'm less into this stuff because I have then to remember what's on, what's off, what different buttons do. Sometimes they have weird names, sometimes not. You mentioned the DPO, so I have here a picture of it, right, which has all sorts of different functions. It has 2 oscillators, ring modulation, I guess, wave folding, right, and all sorts of different things. Again, I'm sure that a lot of connections are already made for you, so they are normal, which is great, but it's a bit less. I mean, I guess that in modular, the modular way is more fun to me, that I can actually patch things. As soon as I patch something, I remember also what it is, and I remember what I've done, and I remember what's going on, and I have more of an overview of what is patched and what not. Something like the CSL, for example, is available also in VCV like this. We don't need for now. Right, so we have also the CSL, right, which you can experiment also in VCV for free, which is amazing. But as you can see, there are many functions here, like you can choose between ring modulation, amplitude modulation, and rectifying, I guess. You can activate sync between the oscillators. You can link their pitch, which is great because you don't need cables. But for me, it's a bit less less interesting, not interesting, but it's a bit, I'm less drawn to this because I don't remember what's going on. You know, I have sync on, I don't know, maybe it's not so much, but I guess that what I like more is the modular way. Right, so for example, Neoni and something like the STO, which is quite small, and something like the Modemix, which is ring modulation or or voltage controlled attenuverter or polarizer. Sometimes it's also called. Right, so you have those three modules and you can do so much with them. You have wave folding, wave shaping, FM, pitch stable FM also with Neoni. You can mix oscillators, you can sync them. There is also sync. You have different waveforms like wavefold. You have saw on Neoni, you have saw with a sort of pulse wave, if you will. Right, you have on the STO the wave shaping output. You have a sub oscillator output. And you can use them. You have also the gate for the sub-oscillator, which is quite cool. I really like the STO and Neoni as well. Right, so they take all those three modules, take the same space as the CSL. I'm pretty sure they are probably more expensive than one CSL. Maybe not. Can also be. Right, but you can use them for other things also. If you don't want it to be a complex oscillator, then you can use them separately. You can have two separate voices or not. Just like the CSL, also with the CSL you can do it all. The CSL just has everything in one pack and a few other things. But I guess I'm drawn more to the modular way because then you have like the ingredients that you can do other things with them as well. And you have to patch things. I guess, I keep hitting the mic. I guess that for me, patching, the actual patching, connecting the cables is what makes it more fun than just hitting buttons and activating stuff. And then I have to remember what's activated, what not, what each button is doing, which mode is what color the button is, which mode it is, and stuff like this. So this is, I guess, for me, the only reason why I'm not so into complex oscillators at the moment, and also more of the modular way. Right, so you get the different ingredients and then you can do whatever you want with them, if you want complex or not complex and whatnot. But again, you can experiment for free with the CSL, which is quite an interesting module. Okay, Steve, thank you. Oscar, hi Oscar. Will you ever go back to making videos about new collections in the library? I would love to see a walkthrough of the new modules from Petharos, I guess, for example. So yes, I am thinking about it to go back and make these videos. There are a couple of reasons why I kind of stopped making them. First of all, I didn't want to be a part of this. It's a new module. You have, I mean, because it's new, it's shiny, go play with it and forget about everything else. I guess it was a bit uncomfortable for me. And also because people, you know, they used, I showed the new module and people went and used it and forgot about the old modules, all their modules that were quite amazing, because there's so many modules, it's hard to keep track. So this was one reason, I guess. And the second one is that, and I can totally understand it, I got a few messages from developers that were not upset, but they were just concerned about that I'm not showing their modules and stuff like this, which I can totally understand, because again, there are so many modules, I cannot show everything. And I got a feeling a bit like that if I don't show something that it's not good, that people think it's not good, and if I show something, people think it's good, because, you know, that's the nature of things, and it's not true. Just because I like something doesn't mean it's good, and just because I don't like it doesn't mean it's not good. It's just for me not working or whatever. So yeah, I have to think about how to do this. Maybe it will be only for Patreons, or maybe it will be something, I don't know. I have to think about this, how to do. If you have an idea, let me know. If you also want me to go back making these videos, let me know. And I will see what I can do about it. But yes, the short answer is yes, I would like to go back making them. Totally. Troy, hi, I just got an acid box and wondered if you have any distortion VCV modules you would recommend to pair with the Distortion FX. All right, so I have here something ready. I have a sort of a 303 kind of line. I will save this. This is for a second here. I will save all of those modules as a collection. So I will put this on Patreon. You can download it if you want to use it in your patches. It will be everything pre-patched. You will just have to connect the clock. The clock to the sequencer and to the sample and hold. That's it. Everything else will be connected. So what I have here, I have basically Squonk. Right, sequencing the VCO, and I'm using, we will zoom in a bit, I'm using nitrous from Volt as the 303 sort of acid filter. As you can see, it says also acid filter. 2 envelopes, one for the amplitude and one for the filter. Right. And I have also some slew limiting only on one step, I believe. So I have it activated only on one step. You can hear it. And I have sample and hold, changing the pitch on this step, which is step number 10. Right, so this is the sort of line, the 303 acid type of line I got. And let's see, I have 3 modules here that I think you can experiment with for distortion. First of all, 2 of them are free and 1 of them is commercial. But first of all, Debriatus, which I think is a must. Again, Volt, really good quality. So let's have a look at Debriatus, how it will react. Of course, because it's modular, you can also use this before the filter if you want. In this case, but you have the hardware, so you cannot do this, but still you can use. Saturate it. Right, wave folding. A bit of crush. Oh yeah. Yeah, so Debriatus I really recommend. Another one I really like is Shaper. Both of them are stereo, by the way. So if you have like if it's like a stereo signal, you can use it. I'm not so sure. I'm pretty sure it's mono actually. But Shaper from Squinky Labs, it's a wave shaper and also a bit of distortion, and it's really good quality. And everything Squinky Labs is really good quality. And the thing here is that you have different modes. So you have smooth, you have clip. Right, you have emitter coupled, I guess. Can add a lot of beef. This is rectification. Wave folding. Right, you can really play with it also. And the one I like the most is the crush. Right, so you can really experiment here. And you can also use both, of course. I mean, you can chain them as well. Let me just do this. Why is it not working? Oh. So yeah, those two. And if you want to go commercial, of course, Distortion. I always recommend Flame. It's a commercial module. It comes in a bundle with other modules as well. I think it's the Compacts collection, which is amazing. You get Freak, you get Flame, you get Knock also, which can work also really nicely with the 303. Right, so let's have a look at Flame. Let's change the... right? And you have different gain selection. Man, this is nice. Different tones, different distortion types. Oh, listen to this. Without and with. Sort of a built-in filter also. Right, so those are the distortions I recommend. Of course, there are others also that you can experiment with, but I think the Briatus and Shaper if you want to go for something free, or Flame if you want to buy something, and of course supporting Volt is always a good thing. I will go back now to the Briatus just so I can save this patch. Or I can, never mind, actually, this is already saved as a collection, so no need to save it as a patch. Right, but just let add. Right, just a bit to add some. To add some character. Right, so this was distortion for sort of a 303 type sound. I will keep it here, but I will mute it for a second so we can continue with the questions. And you will see if we can build something on top. I have a couple of short questions. Hi, Golden Pyramid. What is your favorite VST FX other than Valhalla? And what do you think is the best? Okay, let's start with my favorite VST FX. If you take Valhalla Supermassive out, then I don't have any favorite. I have a few that I use. Maybe I can show you this with the host effects. We are speaking about effects, of course. So I have Audio Damage, Other Desert Cities that I use. I cannot say it's a favorite of mine. I like it, I use it, but it's not like how I like Supermassive. Right, so this is one that I use, and another one is Silo from Unfiltered Audio, which is a granular effects engine, which again, I cannot say it's a favorite of mine, but I use it, and it's nice. Other than this, I don't use so many other effects. I have some isotope stuff that I use for mixing and mastering, but it's not like it's a favorite of mine or something like this. So I don't, other than the Valhalla Supermassive, I don't have a favorite VST FX. I have a few that I use, but there is no favorite one that I always go back to, like I go back to Supermassive, which is unbelievable. It's just amazing. The second part of the question, what do you think is the best VCV sequencer in terms of various and multiple functions and ease of use? The less mouse clicks, the better. GridSec, Andromeda, Squonk, Moog Slicer, etc. Grid sequencer and Andromeda have probabilities. Squonk has ratcheting. Turing machine with decoupled rhythm would be interesting, like technique you shared with Stevio video. Thank you, Golden Pyramid. So I think I have here a few sequencers that I like. I don't have the best sequencer. I think I don't really like this the best nominating something as the best, especially not in modular, because it depends what you want to do. You can patch things in different ways. If you're looking for generative, you're looking for more rhythmic, you're looking for more probability, if you're looking for more precision, if you want to enter, right? If you want to enter notes that you want, or you want the module to select for you. There are so many different things that this depends on. Right, so I don't have a best sequencer. I have a few that I use a lot. The grid sequencer, of course, I use a lot. As you mentioned, it has probability. It has also trigger inputs for randomization. Andromeda is also great. It's a commercial collection from Stellare. Let's see. Right, so you get many other modules, matrix mixer, switches, more sequencers, sequential switches as well. Or I said switches already, never mind. Precision adders, right? So this collection is great. You get all of them, and Andromeda is one module of them from them that has probability. It has also trigger for random. It has 4 channels, so you can have one sequencer going to 4 different voices, different steps going to different voices. Shuffle, glide, really interesting sequencer. Another sequencer that I really like is Orca's Heart. Again, I guess you are looking for less something like the phrase sequencer where you have to go and enter notes and create scenes and stuff like this. You're looking for something a bit more direct or intuitive, I guess. So Orca's Heart is great. You can switch between the quantizers. You have 4 CV pitch and 4 gates, and then 4 modulation CV and gates. Right, all sorts on position. You can create all sorts of interesting sequences from this with Orca's Heart. I really like it. Probably Key I really like from Impromptu. Basically sort of a generative generative, why semi-generative? It's not really random, but it's a generative sequencer that you can really create evolving and changing sequences. So I also really like it. The stochastic sequencer, actually everything from Shebang is amazing. The Shebang collection, let's see. There is also a new one that I didn't even have the chance to try. Right, Nutrinode, stochastic sequencer, really interesting again with probability, built-in quantizer, all sorts of different things you can try. What I like, if it depends. If, for example, I want to just try something and I need a sequence quickly, what I will do, I will take either the grid sequencer or the 8sec. Both are from JW. They are intuitive, they are easy. I just hit random on the note and I have a sequence. Both of them have probability, CV inputs for everything, which is quite cool. Right, so if I want something quickly, usually I will go for something like this. But usually what I will do, like before you saw me, I use Squonk. I will use a sequencer that is more modular in a way, I guess, like Max Slicer or Squonk. They are more, Max Slicer is a sequencer as a bonus. It's actually a switch. But both of them are really modular. You can really patch things in all sorts of ways, create interesting sequences, textures, rhythms. So they are deep. They are simple and yet really deep because it's all about how you patch them. So I think Max Slicer and Squonk are more modular, I guess, and if I feel like going deeper, digging deep into modular territories, then I will go with either Max Slicer or Squonk. There are other sequencers that I like the phrase sequencer I love, the gate sequencer from Impromptu. So there is nothing really best. It all depends what you want. You want something quickly, you want something generative, you want precision, you want, depends what you want. And again, you mentioned also decoupling pitch from rhythm. So again, it depends how you patch things. You can take a CV sequencer like the ADDR sequencer, which is so powerful really for pitch, and you take a different sequencer for rhythms and you combine them. Right, so I think it's all about what you're looking for at the moment and how much are you willing to patch, basically, and to create something a bit more modular than just one solution, than just all of the solutions in one module. Yes, so this is what I have to say. This, and again, I'm not so sure if there is a best sequencer. There are many interesting sequencers. Some of them are right for one thing and are not really working for the other thing. Doesn't make them not best at something. Yeah. So this is this Golden Pyramid. Thank you again for the question. Michael, hi Michael. I was recently inspired by some of your videos to learn TouchDesigner, but was then discouraged when I found out that OSC modules that make VCV and TouchDesigner talk to each other are not available in V2. Yes, really sad. Do you know of any workarounds by chance how to make this work with the OSC? I couldn't find any workaround, but according to the post on the forum, and I think someone also commented on Patreon, they are on their way to the library, so they are being updated. They will be available for version 2, which will solve all of the problems with the not problems, but all of this issue with TouchDesigner and VCV. So yes, they are being updated, and hopefully they will make their way to the library soon. But I couldn't find any workaround. There are no other modules that work the same like this, unfortunately. Okay, another question. Kieran, hi. I'm thinking about buying this entry physical Eurorack from, is it Crest Audio? I'm not so sure how to pronounce it. I have a picture of it here. We didn't speak about Endorphin with a complex oscillator, which has a mushroom on it, which is always fun. Okay, the Nifty case, or the Nifty bundle actually, that comes also with those two modules. Okay, I'm on a budget, so I would like to know how to use VCV2 with this hardware. Maybe it could be as an addition to your fixed VCV rack to show how to connect this physical starter bundle to VCV2 to help find what virtual modules would be good to purchase. Then I could buy the hardware equivalent when my funds get rejuvenated, knowing what the module can do. With the vast choice of modules out there, it would help make an informed decision to spend money on the modules that you would already know how they fit and complement the physical kit you already have. This is a really good question. How to use VCV for starting basically with Eurorack. This is a really good idea for a video that I think I have on my list and I want to do for a long time already. But by the way, if it's an addition to your to my fixed VCV rack videos, go experiment with them, because you can really understand maybe what is it you're looking for. Even if it's not available in hardware, maybe you can find something similar. So there is a playlist of fixed rack videos. Go download maybe one or two. Hopefully all of them are working in VCV2. If not, let me know. I will update them. Download one or two, experiment with them for like a week and see what you're looking for. You're looking for more sequencing, you're looking for more what you enjoy more to use, more effects, more stuff like this. What I think in hardware, if you're going to use this and VCV for the long run, so I guess in hardware, get something that you can play with, not a set and forget kind of modules, but something that you can, because that's the whole fun of hardware, that you can actually go and reach for things and do things in real time and play with the modules, right? So I guess get stuff that are more hands-on. If you are planning to use VCV and to have a sort of a hybrid setup, I would recommend also some sort of an interface, I guess. So you can send signals back and forth, although the Nifty case has also MIDI, so you can send MIDI from VCV into the case, I guess, pitch, gates, and also modulation, I guess, from the mod wheel output. Maybe also other modulation outputs can also be, and also a clock, although it's a MIDI clock from VCV is not really stable, but still it's usable if you're doing generative things, or random things or stuff like this. Another thing I will recommend directly, as soon as you get it, if you really are getting this, connect it to VCV and use effects like delays, reverbs, filters. I think if you have just this cell, I believe cells is a sequencer, right? So if you have cells and the oscillator, you will need some sort of a reverb. Of course, a reverb is a must. Yeah, so connect the audio to VCV and start experimenting with effects. I guess this will be the first thing that I would do. And again, download the fixed tracks. I will think about an idea for a video about this. This is an interesting idea. But experiment with the fixed track that are already there, download them and see what you like. I mean, what kind of modules you would like to have. If it's sequencers, if it's more modulation, what you think you might enjoy also in hardware. Yeah, and that's it basically. I guess, yeah, but the idea for the video is really nice. I think it can be a really interesting idea. How to use VCV to start Eurorack. Yeah, totally. John, hi, you would like to know, I would like to know how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck would chuck wood? That's a really good question. I wonder how much is it. Also, what is one piece of advice you are giving that has really resonated with you? It doesn't have to be modular or music-led. Thanks, buddy. So I thought about it for hours. I was walking here in the room back and forth. I couldn't think of anything. I tried to think of something. I don't remember any time that someone sat me down and told me something and I was like, wow. So I don't have an answer to this. I can give you an advice if you want. But I don't really have an answer to this. A piece of advice I was giving that resonated with me. I'm sure there are a few. I couldn't think of anything that was really like wow. I'm sorry, but I will check how much wood can a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck would. I would check this out. All right. Tom, hi Tom, love your videos. Thank you. I've been slowly learning modular on and off for a few years now, but your videos have allowed me to progress so much more in the last few months. That's amazing than I thought I would ever manage. Thank you, man. That's great. I was wondering if you would be able to do a video on making more clubby modular music like Walk Up Right-Handed EP by Blawan, I guess. So I listened to this, to a few of the tracks. They sound great, lots of distortion, really like it. Opalach, really like it. It's not very four on the floor type of thing, and there are a few, but not very, so it's also really cool. I don't know, I did a few videos. There was a dub techno, I think, chords, and ambient techno, and there were a few more videos that I did about stuff like this. But yes, I have it in my watch later list still, that I can continue watching it and listening to it, and maybe there will come a video about something like this because it sounds really nice. It sounds really, really nice, yes. So thank you for this. Go check out. Maybe I will put a link also, or you can just Google Walk Up Right-Handed. Can also be cool. Edin, I think that's the last question. Is there any way to tackle Torso T1 sequencer? That's a new hardware sequencer. I know you have published a bunch of videos about Euclidean sequencer, and maybe there is a way to make something similar like Torso. So I had a look. I don't have Torso, but I did watch a few videos from Loopop and Aura, I guess that you pronounce it. And quite an interesting sequencer. Basically, I mean, it's a Euclidean sequencer with some probability or some randomness that you can use. So I have another selection. Again, I will put the selections on Patreon if you're interested. Right, so I have here another selection that I made based around this idea about a Euclidean sequencer that is always changing and always evolving with pitch and with rhythm. So here there is the Euclidean sequencer from Count Modular. Let me just clock it and also reset everything maybe. So it will work nicely, hopefully, with this acid piece. Right, so basically, Euclidean sequencer, you can set the length of the sequence and how many hits will be in the sequence, and the sequencer will distribute those hits as evenly as possible. Here, in this case, in this Euclidean sequencer, we can modulate the length, modulate the hits, we can shift, right, or rotate, it's called also the sequence. We have end of cycle output, we have the hits output, and we have the so-called not or the rests output that are not the hits, right? And we can use them in all sorts of ways. And there is also, I will show you this here, right? There is also a CV expander that you just have to put next to the sequencer, right? You can see it's working, and you can send also CV, and you can use 3 different clocks. You can let the hits, like I do here, the hits run it, or the clock, or the rests, right? So you can do this in all sorts of ways. I have here kick-all that I'm going to use as a voice. Kick-all is not only a bass drum. It's also a melodic voice, right? So let's do something like this. I will take the hits and trigger it. And I will use the first, this first CV sequence to sequence the pitch, basically, right, through a quantizer. I will already add some reverb, maybe. Right. And now what we can do, we can take the, again, this is modular, so you can do all sorts of different things, but you can take the end of cycle output, which will output a trigger when the cycle ends, right, when the sequence ends, and you can use it, for example, to trigger a sample and hold or a random module, and use this random module to modulate, for example, the length and the hits. Right? So you can add randomization. I'm going to use 2 more sequences, 2 more expansions, right? One will go and modulate the shape, and one the decay, right? So you have a Euclidean sequencer that is also being randomized, and it's changing. Right, and again, you don't have to use the end of cycle, you can use other, like a clock division or something like this, and you don't have to use randomness or sample and hold, you can also use another sequencer. I have here the ADDR, sorry, with 4-step set, right, so you get something a bit more repetitive, right, so if this goes here, right, so the CV will come from the sequencer, and I'm going to use the end of cycle to drive the sequencer. Right, so we have 4 variations of the sequence, right? And I guess this is how Torso is also working. I mean, this is from the videos I saw. Of course, you can also randomize the pitch. You can use sample and hold for the pitch. I mean, you can basically build your own sequencer, which is quite cool. This is also what we spoke about before with the best sequencer. So I guess the best sequencer you can patch as you want it, right? Here you have a Euclidean sequencer, you can have random pitch, you can have random modulation on the sequencer, you can mix it with another sequencer. I mean, you can do all sorts of different things. It's modular, it's VCV, it's fun. Right, let's see how it sounds like with the... Wow. Right. What we need now, what are we, 40 minutes, we have some time to patch a bit, right? What we need now is we can take the VCV VCF, for example, and send a copy of this after the filter, let's say, of the 303 to the filter, and then to the Chronoblob 2, right, for a nice delay. I'm going to sync it also with the clock. I'm going to use a high-pass filter, so I'm going to send only the high frequencies, let's say about 1000 Hertz, to the delay. I'm doing this all the time. You know how it goes already. Right, all the way wet. Lots of reverb. Right, ooh, I have to sneeze soon. Right. So you get basically a Euclidean sequence or Euclidean sequence with lots of variation, I guess. Which is quite cool. You can just need a nice bass drum here. Maybe not a 4 on the floor. Let's go with the gate sequencer. Like I said, I really like the sequencer for rhythms. I will use the same clock and I will change it to be also 12 steps like Squonk. Reset everything. And now let's see. Let's use just the kick, so maybe you can add also a hat. Maybe I can also sidechain the bass just in case, so we have like we have more space for the bass drum with oppressor. With the noise section. Nice, I like this sequence. Some distortion maybe, or maybe even better than distortion. Maybe we can add also a snare or something like this. Let's patch a snare with noise, bandpass filter, one. Yeah, let's do one bandpass filter. Let's go white noise bandpass filter. And the VCA and an envelope, right? Envelope to the VCA. So we'll go to the mixer and let's see, let's have a rhythm here. Clap maybe, right, with the delay also on it. Let's see, let's send a delay. I want it to be a synced delay. I don't know why the sync here doesn't work for me so much. Let's have another hit. Right, I was just totally in it, sorry. what I want now. I wanted basically we can do this with a sequencer. We can do this also with a fourth no, maybe with the clock divider, right? We have one hit, so I can use a clock divider and divide this hit in two, right? And then use this to open the feedback. Right? And we say it again just in case it was a bit too much. So what I want every two hits, right? Every second hit to have more feedback on the delay. So what I'm doing, I'm basically dividing this hit of the snare in two, which will give me every second one. And I'm using the gate or the clock. Just because it's a clock or a gate doesn't mean I cannot use it for modulation, right? So I use it to just bring the feedback up. I hope the recording is still working. Something happened with the recording. I hope it's still recording. Anyway, now some distortion we said. So I'm going to use a comparator and basically mix the drums to into the comparator. Right, we have the kick, we have the hi-hat, and we have this snare. Maybe without the delay. This will go to the comparator. I'll just take the level down here. Right? See? Basically, the comparator will create distortion. Right, so maybe I will save this patch and upload it also to Patreon, together with the Euclidean chain, right? The chain as a selection, or as a preset, if you will, and also the bass as a preset. And that's it. Again, thank you Patreons for your, I hope the recording was okay. Thank you Patreons for your questions, and thank you also for your support. Come join us on Discord. If you are not a Patreon, come join us on Patreon. It's fun. I hope it's fun at least. And that's it. Cheers.